I was drowning, not in water, but in my own life. At 25, I was stuck in a dead-end job, scrolling through my phone for 12 hours a day, my eyes burning, my heart heavy. My apartment was a mess. Dirty dishes piled up, laundry untouched for weeks. I hadn't called my parents in months. Friends? They stopped inviting me out because I was always too busy staring at my screen. I wasn't living. I was existing, trapped in a cycle of mindless distraction. The worst part? I didn't even realize how bad it was until one night, alone in my dark room, I broke down. Sobbing, I asked myself, is this all my life will ever be? That was the moment I knew something had to change. It wasn't just the phone, it was my entire mindset. I was addicted to instant gratification, likes, notifications, endless TikTok videos that left me feeling empty. I'd start my day with big plans, work out, read a book, maybe learn a new skill. But by noon, I'd be sprawled on the couch, phone in hand, wasting another day. I felt like a failure. My confidence was shot. I'd look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. Pale, tired, defeated. I kept telling myself, tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow was always the same. I was stuck in a loop, and the more I tried to break free, the deeper I sank. Then came the wake-up call that shook me to my core. I was scrolling Instagram one night, comparing my life to strangers who seemed to have it all. Fancy vacations, perfect relationships, dream jobs. I stumbled across a post from an old high school friend. She was launching her own business, glowing with purpose. The caption read, "Small habits changed my life. Start where you are." It hit me like a punch to the gut. Here I was, wasting my potential, while someone I used to sit next to in math class was thriving. Jealousy burned through me, but beneath it was something else. Shame. Why couldn't I do that? What was stopping me? That's when I found Atomic Habits by James Clear. I wasn't looking for a self-help book. Honestly, I thought those were for people with real problems. But that night, desperate for anything to pull me out of my rut, I downloaded the audiobook. I listened to the first chapter, then the second, and by 3 a.m. I was hooked. Was all. Clear's words cut through the fog in my brain. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. It was like he was speaking directly to me. My goals, get fit, save money, build a career, were meaningless because I had no systems, no habits to make them real. I was chasing dreams but tripping over my own laziness. The book didn't sugarcoat things. It forced me to face the truth. My life was a mess because of the tiny choices I made every day. Choosing to scroll instead of read. Choosing to sleep in instead of work out. Choosing to complain instead of act. Those small decisions were stacking up, building a life I hated. But Clear also gave me hope. He said small changes, done consistently, could transform everything. I didn't need to overhaul my life overnight. I just needed to start somewhere, anywhere. That idea lit a spark in me. For the first time in years, I felt like I had a fighting chance. I started small, embarrassingly small. The first habit I built was making my bed every morning. Sounds ridiculous, right? But I'd never done it consistently before. Every day, I'd wake up, drag myself out of bed, and spend 30 seconds smoothing the sheets. It wasn't much, but it gave me a tiny win to start the day. Clear's concept of stacking habits became my lifeline. After making my bed, I'd drink a glass of water. Then I'd do 5 push-ups. These weren't life-changing tasks, but they were proof I could follow through. For someone who'd spent years letting herself down, those little victories felt massive. The real game changer was tracking my habits. Clear talks about the power of seeing your progress. So I bought a cheap notebook and started marking an X for every day I stuck to my new habits. Watching those X's pile up gave me a rush. It was addictive in the best way. I wasn't just building habits, I was building trust in myself. For the first time, I felt like I was in control. My phone use dropped from 12 hours a day to 8, then 6. I started reading more, exercising regularly, even cooking meals instead of ordering takeout. My apartment went from chaos to calm. Slowly, I was clawing my way out of the hole I'd dug for myself. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were days I slipped, binge watching Netflix, skipping workouts, falling back into old patterns. The difference was I didn't let those slips define me anymore. Clear's idea of never missing twice kept me going. If I messed up one day, I'd jump back in the next. I learned to forgive myself, to see setbacks as part of the process, not proof I was doomed. That shift in mindset was everything. I wasn't just changing my habits, I was changing how I saw myself. I wasn't a failure. I was someone capable of growth, someone who could build a life worth living. By the end of that first year, I barely recognized myself. In the best way. I'd lost 20 pounds, saved 3,000 Oz, and landed a better job. But more than that, I felt alive again. I was excited to wake up, eager to see what I could do next. Atomic Habits didn't just give me tools, it gave me a new lens to see the world. Every choice, no matter how small, was a chance to shape my future. That realization was worth more than anything. That spark from Atomic Habits wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was the key to unlocking a life I never thought I could have. But let's be real. Knowing you need to change and actually doing it are two different beasts. I'd been stuck for so long, trapped in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt, that the idea of turning things around felt like climbing Everest in flip-flops. What made the difference? James Clear's system wasn't about willpower or some magical burst of motivation. It was about practical, stupidly simple steps that anyone, yes, even someone as lost as I was, could follow. Let me break it down for you, because this is the part where you stop dreaming and start doing. The first step was making my goals so small they were impossible to fail. Clear calls this the 1% better rule. Instead of aiming to read a book a week, I started with 1 page a day. 1 page. Sounds pathetic, right? But here's the thing. I actually did it. Every night I'd read 1 page before bed. Most days I'd end up reading more because I was already in the groove. The trick was starting so small that my brain couldn't make excuses. No, I'm too tired, or I'll do it tomorrow. 1 page was nothing, but those pages added up. Within a month, I'd finished my first book in years. That's when I realized. Small actions aren't small. They're the foundation of massive change. Next, I focused on my environment. Clear says your surroundings shape your behavior, and man, was he right. My phone was my biggest enemy, always buzzing, always tempting me to scroll. So I made it harder to fall into that trap. I deleted social media apps from my home screen and turned off notifications. I bought an old-school alarm clock so I wouldn't need my phone by my bed. I even started leaving my phone in another room during meals. It felt weird at first, like I was cutting off a limb, but it worked. My screen time dropped by half in just 2 weeks. I replaced that habit with better ones, keeping a book on my nightstand, a journal on my desk. My environment wasn't working against me anymore. It was pushing me toward who I wanted to be. The third step was habit stacking, and this was a game changer. Clear's idea is to tie a new habit to something you already do. For me, brushing my teeth was non-negotiable. I wasn't that far gone. So I stacked a new habit onto it. While brushing, I'd think of one thing I was grateful for. Sounds cheesy, but it rewired my brain. Instead of starting the day with dread, I'd kick it off with a tiny dose of positivity. From there, I stacked more. After brushing, I'd do 5 minutes of stretching. After stretching, I'd write down one goal for the day. These weren't huge tasks, but they built momentum. By noon, I'd already checked off 3 things, and that made me feel unstoppable. Tracking my progress was the fourth piece of the puzzle. I'm not a journal person, but Clear's habit tracker idea hooked me. I used a cheap calendar and put a big red X on every day I stuck to my habits: reading, stretching, no phone after 9 p.m. Seeing those X's pile up was weirdly satisfying, like leveling up in a video game. It wasn't just about the habits, it was about proving to myself I could show up. On days I slipped, and trust me, there were plenty, I'd look at that calendar and see all the X's I'd earned. It reminded me I wasn't starting from zero. I was already moving forward even if I stumbled. The final step was embracing the 2-minute rule. Clear says any habit can be boiled down to its first 2 minutes. Want to work out? Just put on your sneakers. Want to write a blog? Just open your laptop and type one sentence. This blew my mind because it made everything feel doable. I stopped overwhelming myself with big goals and focused on starting. Once I started, I usually kept going. Those 2 minutes of action broke the paralysis I'd felt for years. Over time, those 2-minute starts turned into 30-minute workouts, 500-word journal entries, even side projects that brought in extra cash. The results? They were shocking, even to me. Within 6 months, I was down 20 pounds, not because I starved myself, but because I built a habit of walking 10 minutes a day, then 20, then adding weights. I read 15 books in a year. Me, the person who hadn't read anything longer than a tweet in years. I saved enough money to move out of my cramped apartment into a place that felt like home. My relationships got better too. I started calling my parents again, reconnecting with friends. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building a life I was proud of. The best part? The benefits went beyond the numbers. I felt clearer, sharper, like I'd woken up from a long sleep. My confidence came back, not because I was suddenly perfect, but because I trusted myself to follow through. Clear's system taught me that I didn't need to be extraordinary to change my life, just consistent. Every tiny habit was a vote for the person I wanted to become, and those votes added up faster than I ever imagined. So here I am, a year after picking up Atomic Habits, living a life I barely dared to dream about. I'm not saying I'm perfect, far from it. There are still days when I slip, when the couch and my phone look way more tempting than a workout or a book. But the difference now is that I know I can get back on track. I've built systems, not just hopes. Those small habits, making my bed, reading one page, tracking my X's, have stacked up into a life I'm proud of. And here's the thing, if I can do it, so can you. You're not too broken, too busy, or too far gone. You just need to take that first step, and I'm begging you to take it today. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of you, the you who doesn't feel trapped by a screen or paralyzed by self-doubt. The you who wakes up excited, not exhausted. The you who looks in the mirror and feels proud, not ashamed. Atomic Habits showed me that change isn't about grand gestures or overnight miracles. It's about showing up, day after day, with tiny actions that build into something massive. You don't need more time, more money, or more willpower. You just need to start where you are, with what you have, and you need to start now. Here's your challenge. Pick one habit, one, and make it so small you can't fail. Want to read more? Start with one sentence a day. Want to get fit? Do one push-up. Want to cut down on your phone? Turn off notifications for 30 minutes. Make it so easy that your brain can't talk you out of it. Then, stack it onto something you already do. Brush your teeth? Add a 10-second stretch. Drink coffee? Jot down one thing you're grateful for while it brews. These aren't just tasks. They're votes for the person you want to be. And trust me, those votes will change everything. Don't wait for the perfect moment. I did that for years and it got me nowhere. The perfect moment doesn't exist. It's a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the hard stuff. The only moment that matters is this one right now as you're watching this video. Pause it if you have to. Grab a piece of paper, write down one habit you're going to start, and do the first 2 minutes of it today. Open that book. Lace up those sneakers. Turn off your phone. 2 minutes. That's all it takes to start rewriting your story. And when you start, don't stop. Track your progress. Get a notebook, a calendar, an app, whatever works. Mark those X's every day you show up. Celebrate the streak, not because it's perfect, but because it's proof you're moving forward. When you slip, and you will, don't beat yourself up. Just don't miss twice. Get back up, mark your X, and keep going. You're not building habits. You're building trust in yourself. That's the real game changer. I want you to imagine your life a year from now. Picture yourself 1% better every day. 365 tiny steps forward. You could be healthier, happier, more focused. You could be closer to your dream job, your dream body, your dream life. All it takes is one choice right now to start. Atomic Habits gave me the tools to pull myself out of the dark, and I know it can do the same for you, but you have to act. No one's going to do it for you. Not me, not James Clear, not anyone. This is your story, and you're the one holding the pen. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to close this video and go back to scrolling, or are you going to take control? If you're ready to change, hit that subscribe button right now. Join me on this journey. We're in this together. And in the comments, tell me, what's the one habit you're going to start today? How many hours are you spending on your phone? And what's the first step you're going to take to reclaim your time? Share it below. I read every single comment, and I want to cheer you on. Let's make today the day you stop waiting and start building the life you deserve.